Hi, I'm Ann Richards, and welcome to P.E.P Talk, Passion Equals Purpose. So I developed this podcast as a way for my listeners to understand the stories and journeys of my guests who have essentially taken their own life's passion and made it their purpose. And I want you to understand how that is possible in your life. I'm a life coach, a yoga teacher, an exercise enthusiast, a life lover, and now a podcaster, which is all a culmination of all my passions rolled into the one, and I'm having a blast doing it. Today, I have the pleasure of having on our show Heather Moore, who owns Heather Moore Jewelry, which is based in Cleveland. She is a jewelry designer. I would call her an artisan. And now I understand she is a glass blower as well as a metal worker. And so pretty much, Heather, what do you not do? And she's a mother of four.
Yeah. And a photographer.
Oh, and a photographer.
Yep.
Okay, what else? There's got to be more. I'm missing something.
But mother is the most important. So.
Of four.
Yes.
Who are active and artistic kids.
Yeah.
Hockey, big hockey players.
Hockey, writers, actors, artists. It's amazing.
Who keep evolving.
Keep evolving, yeah.
At such young ages. Do you attribute that to your own? You have artistic genes, very obviously.
And so do my children's father as well.
Yes.
So we both are filled up with a bunch of creativity.
So do you think growing up in your house that so much of that was around, that they were exposed and that helped them kind of draw it out?
Yeah, and I think the most important part about the way they grew up and watching us evolve as artists ourselves is also just the business of art and understanding how not only do you make something, but how do you showcase it so that everyone else can see it and be the best promoter of yourself. So.
Oh my God, that's so important now.
Mm-hmm.
In the promotion.
Yeah.
When you start, okay, so you started your company what year?
Well, I mean, as far as jewelry design, the company was started in 1994. I was a jewelry, like an artist, like a glass person in the 90s, 93. I started collecting tools when I was 13, so.
Collecting tools.
Yes. And
that
I thought
is the cutest thing
yes.
I've ever heard.
And I did think everyone else did that.
You did?
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? Right?
Collect tools.
Exactly.
That is so far from my own toolbox. But I'm bummed. I mean, whoa. Was your father overly impressed with this?
Well, no. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, my dad and my mom, they all had something to do with it. My mom is an avid, go to every garage sale. And in the springtime, I mean, hello, everybody, it starts on Thursdays. And you can find the most wonderful things. And the first thing I ever did purchase and borrow $10 for was a set of tools. So,
wow.
And that's what we actually do. We manufacture all of our tooling in the same, the same way of the tooling that I bought when I was that age. So,
you grew up on the east side. Cleveland.
Correct.
So you had
yes.
some good garage sales, right? There had to be some cool, interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Cleveland is, we should all be proud of our heritage of Cleveland because this is a tooling town. This is a manufacturing town. This is where the true vocation of all, all good things, started. Well, I'd like to say it all started in Cleveland.
I would agree. I would agree.
But incredible tooling, history here, and it's just kind of nice to kind of keep that heritage alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So did you immediately know, and I love to ask my guests, when you were young, obviously the collection of tools is a real strong hint into where you're going. Did you feel that creativity, that sense of artistic interest at that age? Like, is that when I say to people, what did you love to do most when you were little?
Well, I mean, I'd like to say that I love to do most what a lot of us loved, which is not being on a cell phone.
Yeah.
We were in the backyard, we were playing in the dirt, we were, making forts, we were doing all sorts of kind of innovative things that I'm not seeing our children do today.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
Well, and is that answering your question?
So you collected tools, and then did you use them, or did you just kind of make a collection of tools, like I'm going to have them one day to do something?
No, I think, just as you start collecting things, you just keep collecting more, and you use them when you need to use them. The set that I bought when I was 13, I first used in art school for communications kind of exercise.
What was your first job?
My first job was paper route, in
the
my
plain
neighborhood.
dealer or the press?
I had the Sun Press.
Sun
Yes,
Press. So you were
I did.
afternoon delivery?
I was afternoon. I was actually in the morning.
Oh, you were?
Yep. I did morning delivery in Cleveland Heights. And then, let's see, that was my first job, and it was great. And, the one thing, my kids also had a paper route, and then the city of Cleveland, they let them go for adults.
Yeah.
And they had this hysterical letter that said, your jobs are getting taken away because we have to employ the adults of Cleveland.
Yeah.
So anyway, having a paper route was my first very proud job, and collecting money was hysterical. That was very funny.
It was. It seems like such an antiquated system now.
Yeah.
Carrying a bag around, delivering papers, going door to door, collecting money. But we learned so much with those kind of jobs.
Yeah, I mean, when my kids had the same job, they didn't have to go around and collect money. The money was automatically put into an account.
Yeah.
So that that exchange that you have with someone where you're asking for money.
Yeah.
That's an interesting life lesson.
It is experience. So. And then did you go, so you went to art school?
I did. I went to Chicago. I went to study business and psychology. And then I ended up coming back to Cleveland and doing psychology at Case, and then art at the Cleveland Institute of Art. But then I ultimately got my degree at the Cleveland Institute of Art.
In specifically?
Glass.
So that's where the glass blowing.
Yeah, so it was a Venetian glass blower for 10 years.
And then, so did you have like a studio? Where did you do that?
Well, that was here in Cleveland, it was in New York, and then in Seattle.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
so
awesome.
did you make pieces? Was that your first like artwork, and then you would show it and people might buy it? Yeah,
and then in the glass scene, it's kind of like you're in a band. So you're in other people's band, they'll be in your band, or so you're blowing glass, and you have your team of people that help you, and then you help your another team of people for their own artwork, and it's a wonderful kind of scene in that regard. Are you the most artistic person in your family? Like the family you grew up in, your siblings, your parents? Would you consider yourself the artist? No, not at all. I mean, I think all of us were very, very unique in our own way. Like my sister Hallie is an incredible writer. Okay. She's got like, she can just, the photo memory. She can just read anything and then reread it and like rework it. I mean, she's a brilliant writer. And her children are the same way. So is her husband. And then my other sister Wendy also was an artist. And she was a photographer, she was a, photo manipulator, she was, just like a contemporary artist like I was, so. And your parents? Yeah. My mom, she was a science teacher for 17 years at university school. She worked at the Cleveland Natural History Museum. And then my dad is, he's an incredible inventor, engineer, businessman, with over 120 patents to his name. So he's pretty phenomenal. And, you know, growing up for me, for my sisters, we grew up, you know, having dinner, watching Walter Cronkite, talking business, and learning how to do what you love, you know, so.
That is a cool upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think I love to hear that because now, as parents, there's certain ways I like to bring up my kids that I wasn't, you know, the way that I necessarily was not. However, I think today a little bit of what's missing is that conversation around the dinner table and that everyone sit down and let's talk at the end of our day.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now it's like who's going where at what time and when are you going to sit down and eat and are we ever going to talk face to face, eye to eye?
Yeah, and I really love the repetitive, at least you look forward to that one thing everyone sat down and everyone did at the same time.
Yeah.
And in today's world where it's, you know, the sports and the activities are, you know, now you can't just like 4 activities. You have to hyper focus on one. And it's gotta command your world, and it's gotta take over even your family time.
Did you do sports too?
I did. I was
What's
a
your
huge
favorite
sports person, and I was a swimmer. I was a ski racer, soccer, and lacrosse. So
wow. So you're really like I would say a really blended person. So after the glass, was there a point you reached in the glass blowing that you said, this is, I'm ready to move on. This artistic point is, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for a new challenge?
Yeah. I think that, you know, like with all of my walks of different like fields and whatnot, you do kind of notice a certain spot where you have to like say, okay, I gotta stop here and I gotta do this in order to get over here, back over here, maybe it's back over here, maybe it's not, I don't know. But even if you calculate and stay within a field of metals, now that I've been doing jewelry design for 20 years, you have that same concept where you can change directions, but you might still be in the same field. So what you're asking me though is like, was it hard for me to move from glass and then maybe go into a different area?
Well, is that when you became a metal worker? Or were you already doing that?
I think I was doing metal, I was doing glass, and then I went into metals, and then I kind of, you know, I bounced around, and one thing helped the other, you know, so, but, you know, when I was actually in glass at Pilchuck, working with Judy Pfaff, she's a famous, like, installation artist, and so I was hyper focused in glass, but they put me with her to help her understand how to incorporate glass into her aesthetic. And that was when I got swept into the world of metal. So she pulled me out of glass.
Okay.
And then offered me this, you know, like an apartment in Manhattan and all this stuff. And I was like, hard to, you know, how do you say no? So, yeah, but I mean, you know, at the end of the day, now I'm pulling glass back into my world, and I'm, you know, everything is, you know, you get to a point as an artist where you can say, this is what I started with, and then I went here, and now I'm here, but now it's all together.
It's full circle.
It's full circle, yeah.
I like to say that we have all these little nuggets of passion, and like at one time, you know, I was an actress, and then I worked with a photographer, and then you know, I teach spin, and then somehow that moved into yoga. But if I look at what I'm doing now, it is a combination of everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
The acting pulls in to the yoga.
Absolutely.
The way you look, and the photography, and the presentation, and all of that plays in. And I think it's so important for people to understand that it doesn't have to be, I'm doing this.
Yeah, and
then I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It's like weaving it to make this beautiful masterpiece. It requires many different threads.
It requires one thread over another sometimes.
Yeah.
And it requires you to have the patience to say, no, I have to put this down for a while. and when I come back to it, I will be stronger.
Yes.
You know, like that's the kind of thing.
That takes a long time to recognize.
Yeah, and it takes a lot. It takes strength to know that, like, when someone says, what kind of artist are you? You know, you're like, oh God, that's a big question, because you can't just say one medium, and I mean, I can't.
Right.
And, you know, but, you know, some people say, if you're an artist, you want to be honed in on you know, under one title, and that's impossible. So,
your jewelry, your art is magnificent. And for people who can watch this, Heather's wearing a whole bunch, necklaces, bracelets, rings, which are extraordinary. For some reason, this guy, wait, is this, what do you have?
This one has, well, each one is a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that, if you're not familiar, Heather Moore Jewelry, which is also a website, Heather Moore, and it's spelled Moore.
Yeah, the website's heatherbmore.com.
Heather B,
Yeah.
Small b,
Yeah.
period, more.com, where you can see all of this, and also in retailers throughout this country and in other countries yet?
Well, we were in a lot of companies in Europe, and I just honed it back because the importing laws are such a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And we personalize things. So we'll put a name on a charm or something like that. And so the SA office in England, if it weighs more than 3 grams, they actually take it, they weigh it, and then they stamp import on it, and they put
on
it
your
right.
creation.
They put it right over.
Oh.
So I was like, can you do it on the bail? Because when we sign everything, all of our signage is right here, like around the bail here. And, you know, they were just having a hard time with that. And, you know, America is so big. We have so much opportunity here. And
tons.
We're in 150 retailers across the country right now. We were in more, and I pulled it back because communication for 150 stores, let alone, that's a lot, you know, to make sure you're communicating and then making sure that they're communicating your message to their customers. So we've got a big kind
to keep the consistency.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and so we're a small brand, but
I wouldn't say
it's a good
so.
size for me right now.
Yeah.
With 4 kids.
So you have all these, every piece you're wearing, some of it's old, some of it's new.
Mm-hmm.
And they've all kind of, like you said, they come back in, or the themes come back to you.
Yeah.
So the one, this is like the leather with your kids.
My kids'
Each
names.
kid
Yeah,
has-
so I have these thick little circles that go around a leather band. That's a really high quality leather, and the kids' names, each circle is yellow gold for the boys, and my daughter is represented rose gold, and their names are just kind of repeated and then separated by a diamond. So that just kind of flips around, and then I also have a ring that I wear, like where people wear their wedding rings. I have a band, it's rose gold, and it's got my kids' names.
It's absolutely fabulous.
All the way around.
It's probably hard for anyone to see.
Yeah, it's like a scroll band. It's around.
But it's heavy
14
and
millimeters.
gorgeous. So they could go to the website and then
Heather
create
Moore.
it, and
Yep.
then create this.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people do you have currently employed?
We only have 17 people.
Only?
Yep.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
And you have a studio and is it all one?
Yeah, we have a studio in Midtown Cleveland, and it's a lovely area. I mean, Cleveland, Midtown is grown. You know, it's kind of getting bigger.
Revitalized.
Yeah, Dollar, Dealer Tire just moved in, and there's just a lot of really nice kind of companies budding around there. We have the food trucks every Tuesday right outside my building. I'm like loving
That's
it.
fun.
Yeah, I love it. So
17 people. So you started with you
just
alone.
me. Yep.
Doing it.
Borrowed $1,200 from my dad for to pay for my first, you know, the payroll of the first person that I had. And yeah, we've gone to a point where we grew too quickly. And, you know, like where it was just like, yeah, you wanted to just, every phone, you didn't want to say no, you know?
And then so were you working around the clock?
We were working around the clock, and we were, our marketing material, I don't think was at the same caliber as our quality of our product. And so our messaging wasn't as good. So our tools to be the best messenger needed to be worked on. So when you start a company, there's so many different aspects of inter-office communication. As you communicate to your team, inward facing and then outward facing, like how do you do it? And then culturally, how do you maintain the culture that you want, even parlayed in your jewelry and your aesthetic? So
it's a lot.
It's a lot to think about.
And I'm sure that's not where you started
and
thinking.
And make sure you cook a good dinner at night too.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Well, last night we did teriyaki steak with broccoli. I love Taco Tuesday.
At your house?
Yeah, exactly.
You make tacos?
Oh yeah.
Does everyone pitch in, or are you kind of like the chef?
No, we're all good. And then we I think our family favorite is pesto, grilled chicken with pesto noodles.
Yum. Do you follow recipes, or do you just kind of wing it?
I like looking at pictures.
You do?
Yeah, but I never read the recipes.
You're kidding.
I just look at the pictures.
That's the
and I'm like,
artist.
how can I emulate that with the least amount of knowledge? No, I'm just kidding.
I love it. I love it. That's so cool. And do all your kids like to cook?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite place you like to go to?
For food?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Well, we do as a family, we like going to Blue Point downtown.
Yeah.
Or Johnny's. Those are our kind of like big birthday.
Yeah.
You know, or
great restaurants.
Or EXO too. Just that little area has good restaurants.
Yeah. Yummy fish or steak.
Mm-hmm. Oysters.
That's like your thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were evolving, and do you remember the point at which, did you have a point where you're like, this is never going to work, I'm done? Or were you always just like really like confident in that it would flow and go where it needed to go?
No, I think you know, at first sometimes you do things out of necessity. So at the time I was working with Judy, and I was doing all the art, and I was just making like $10 an hour. I needed more money. And glass, at the time I was in Brooklyn, and I was like, you know, it was too hard to make money with the time that it took to make, you know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How am I answering your question?
Well, when you started your company,
yeah,
were you pretty passionate and like it's going to happen and the ups and downs, or were you ever at a moment where you're like, this is not going to happen?
No, okay, so yeah, that's where my mind was going. Out of like, well, first of all, it was out of necessity. Like, well, first I was doing jewelry because Wendy, my sister, was out in LA, and they needed jewelry for a movie set thing. So I did that for her just because I was like, yeah, I can do it, you know, whatever. Because I can make things.
Yeah.
I can do that, you know. And so, you know, and then I started making things, and, you know, even when I was first being artistic with the jewelry, I wouldn't sell anything. People would be like, oh, I love it, how much is it? And I'd be like, well, it's not for sale. You know, so I was like,
what were you thinking?
About
why?
It was, no, like, I was like, no, I'm not going to sell that.
It's too important to you?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that whole...
Oh, so there wasn't an intention of, I'm going to make and sell jewelry. That just kind of evolved.
Well, there was only when I was solving a problem, when I could solve someone else's problem, but then when I put my aesthetic out there, I wasn't really very good about selling it at first.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you do have this emotional roller coaster of loving and falling in love with what you have, and then selling it and parting ways with it. Sometimes it's a hard thing experience. And
Yeah.
then you have to disassociate yourself with it and know that there's a need for it and a reason for this process.
That you have to let it go.
And then, so then you can decide, well, okay, for me, like I know I can do all of these mediums I want to do. When I want to do my own personal art, which sometimes I still do, and I don't sell, I can choose to sell it and not sell it. Then, but on the other side, I have a jewelry line that I sell because we have 3 boys in hockey, or we have, we need to make sure everybody gets paid for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's business.
Yeah.
Make money.
Yeah.
So,
just like anything else.
So do you remember your first hire? Was it crucial? Like it was just time, you needed help. You needed immediate help. And was it more clerical or was it more artistic?
The first person that I hired, well, there were 3, but the first person that I hired, my cousin said there's a really cool girl at a coffee store down the street. And I was like, and he goes, yeah, and apparently she knows how to do metal. I was like, okay, cool. I need someone, This is when we just moved back here, and I needed, because I had everything. I had manufacturers, everything in New York, in Manhattan, when we lived there. But when we moved here, I needed to figure out how to do that in-house. And so I go to this coffee store, and I met, her name was Heather. And literally, I was like, is your name Heather? And the way she put her glove down, she reached across the table and she shook my hand. I hired her on the spot. And I didn't even know her. So
But you knew.
I knew her because of her conviction
yeah.
and her personable skills. The fact that, just the fact that she shook my hand and was, approachable. I was like, this is going to be someone, and I worked with her for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
it goes to show you out there. So you never know where you're going to meet your next employer or how.
Yeah.
And it's those little things that matter.
That you pick up on, and you see a nuance that is familiar, then you know that person is part of your extension.
So I want people to understand, because maybe they haven't visited your website or they don't know the medium and the materials, what actually goes into, say you're going to make a bracelet, really what goes into that process? Like you have the metal, you have to buy it.
Yeah, so what we, so we're known for our personalization. So we start off with completely recycled metals, and usually it's rolled out in sheet, or it's pressed or extruded into pipe. And that's how our rings are done. And then the bracelets would be sheet, and same with our pendants. And then they're die struck, so they're struck like coins into coins, and then we have frames. So we're just known for our personalization. So what we end up doing is a customer will come in with a theme that they want to do. They want to do a child, or a marathon, a time that they ran their marathon, and based on their aesthetic, the store owner is going to help them decide what to memorialize that moment for them.
Yeah. So then the order comes in, and then you have people who actually then do you call it stamping? What do you call it?
Yeah, we call it stamping. So sometimes with some people that actually have handwritten pieces, so if a parent passes away or something like that, and you have a letter, we'll take that handwriting and we'll make it into a tool and press it into the metal. Or we already have our own stamping, alphabets already figured out, and we can also just hand do something. So
it sounds really intricate.
Yeah.
Have you found quite a lot of creative talent in Cleveland who now work with you?
I mean, it is pretty amazing. There's so much talent, and there's talent even where you don't expect it. One of the guys that works with us is an incredible illustrator, but he was hired. He was working as sous chef, and you know, he was going to art school, and now he's our head illustrator, and, you know, so, but yeah, no, there's Kent State, there's Cleveland Institute of Art, there's so many good schools around here.
Yeah.
So.
That you draw from.
Yeah, yeah.
I think 17 people in the company is a lot.
Yeah.
And you have to be proud of that. You know, you're an employer.
Yeah, I am proud of it. I mean, it's amazing to know, well, to make, my goal is to make an environment that people will be happy to be in for 12 hours a day, if you have to be. Like, in the crazy wintertime, you know, holiday rush, when people are there all the time, I want people to love it, so.
Are you usually there day to day, or do you go out and sell? And...
I mean, I travel a lot. I mean, I still, to this day, have not been to all the stores that we sell to, but
yeah.
I do travel a lot, and then I am also with my kids a lot, so.
Yeah.
But, you know, the company's run, everyone's running the company, you know what I mean? Like, everyone takes ownership in it. This is everyone's hand is in each piece.
Yeah.
So.
I know a lot of artists who may struggle with being an artist versus being a business person because it's not necessarily their strength. Mm-hmm. Have you been able to combine the two, or did you kind of have a struggle with that as well?
No, I think I've always understood business, and I've always had my own companies. Like, my first company was when I was 14. It was a stone restoration company, and
what did you do?
Yeah, we did stone restoration. We did how do you say, like, spray washing, and then we did seal coating, so rubberized tar emulsion.
Oh my God, this is stuff I didn't even know existed. Were you a total tomboy?
No, we just needed to make money. You know?
So we would make money and maybe have a lemonade stand.
I know, like
I don't know, I'd sell like
or,
rocks or something.
I know.
But to have
But the dichotomy of showing up in a pretty skirt and being like ordering tar I always found that to be funny.
I'm sure they did too. This darling, sweet blonde girl coming up to order tar.
Yeah, but we would.
So you were kind of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it was good. We would always do really well, and I think ultimately, when you understand how to start a company, I mean, you make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've made so many mistakes, and I hope to God I don't make any more
There's
mistakes.
less.
But even when I made like the biggest mistake, CFO, some money was stolen, and my dad was like, well, you know what, it might happen again, and you're like, God, it just keeps you on your toes,
Yeah.
I mean? Because it's true, like when you trust people, you have to, you just have to be careful in business, and every time, even when you're like, you know the cautionary tales, you can still get burned, so you have to be careful. And in our world right now, we've got a lot of stuff going on with social media and marketing and so many moving parts.
I don't know if it's easier or harder, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you started, so if you started in 92, 94, there was no social media.
Right, there was no social media.
There was no website.
No, and it was like a big deal to do ads in Town and Country, and they were like $30,000 a month. And so I remember.
That's pretty fancy though, Town and Country.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of response, because I think the product that you had at that time was so unique.
Yeah, and it was just hard to it was like the measurables even then were hard. I mean, you would get an order from someone that had, the first ad that I did with my point and shoot camera on a ladder in the skylight of my roof, because I had no photo booth, whatever,
Right.
But, he held on to that picture for 7 years and ordered,
Oh my gosh.
and so your measurables to immediate, was it worth it, for these ads is really hard.
Yeah.
If you're going to wait for 7 years for this dude to pull this out of his wallet and say, okay, I want to buy this now.
Right.
Yeah, so when social media did launch up, it was like a huge break for everyone because we didn't have to spend those dollars and think
so
that we
true.
should and still get the same amount of traction. So what?
So no more giant ads.
No, I mean, we did just get a begging, you know, like, come on, do this ad. And it's 13,000, you know, each month. And I'm like, that's crazy. And I feel like we're all brainwashed, you know, like if you don't do it, you're not big, you know, and it's like, that's not true.
Not
I
at
don't
all.
know.
Not
you
at
know?
all.
So,
No,
I mean,
I think-
I sipped out every Kool-Aid there is to sip, you know what I mean? And I kissed every frog, and I'm still, you know,
kissing frogs.
I'm still kissing frogs. And I don't know. But
I mean, it's so interesting to hear you describe it as just a break and a relief, because sometimes social media is so challenging at the same time.
right, yeah.
Like the keeping up on all of it is just constant.
Yeah, no,
Day and night,
and
day and
that's
night.
like that break, that little moment of break
Yes.
was just me saying, oh gosh, I don't have to spend 30 grand a month. And now it's just a different type of energy. Okay, so those $30,000 that we spent earning $30,000, now we're gonna spend trolling the internet in time and visually like sucking our brain of is it worth $19,000,
Yes,
or would
right?
you rather just give someone $19,000 and close your mind and not have social media? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
insanity.
It's
It's exhausting
it is.
visually,
Mhm.
and it like sucks your.
Do you do it,
I
or
feel
do
like
you have
it's
someone do
sucking
that?
my life out of me.
Oh my gosh.
No, I actually do it. I mean, I have someone that does it for me. I have my own personal, and then I got torn. You know, I
You
had
have
my
a jewelry
Heather
one. Yeah.
and then now we have a Heather More jewelry. It was like I'm Heather B More,
So
and now
on
the jewelry
Instagram-
one is Heather_B_More, and I was like, I don't want to give up my name, or whatever, but yeah, so they're more active on, you know, the Heather B More jewelry site, than my personal site, because then I was like, what are we doing? Is it everyone just announcing happy birthdays to all their friends and family? You know, it became, you know, like I'm intrigued by this, I'm influenced by this imagery, and then it became oh, happy birthday, and now it's becoming do you like me in this? Am I an influencer? Am I this? Am I that? You know, and I'm like,
yeah.
I don't even know. So I
Yeah.
haven't posted in like 6 months.
Because it's too much. It's too overwhelming.
I don't want to overthink. Like,
Right?
I just, yeah, I don't know. So,
It's a lot to maintain. I feel like in our generation versus our kids, who are just like whippity smart,
They're
fast
so
at that
good.
whole thing.
oh my God.
And
I
for
love
them, it can be such a great tool for so many things.
But even my
and then-
kids overthink, you know, are pained by it.
Paint. Oh yeah.
I mean, some of my kids have like 3 pictures. That's it.
Right. It's too much.
They're like, I don't want to deal.
Yeah. Do you foresee any of them working with you, or have they worked with you?
Oh, absolutely. All of them have.
So
and
they've
certainly-
created with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in their own way, and but the one part was really funny where they've all experienced me going to trunk shows, because wherever the hockey is, I'll have a partner, a store that I sell to, and I'll
Yeah.
say, hey, I'm going to be here for hockey.
Right.
Let's do a show. Do you have any customers you want to help with, or
Okay.
whatever? And
That's a great idea.
yeah, and
Because then you get to be there for the hockey, but then you get to do your own thing.
and help, and
Yeah.
honestly help pay for all that, everybody benefits. And but this one time Henry was going to Madison, Wisconsin, and for trying out for a USHL team, and I didn't have a partner there. And I was like, you know what? And I look around and I'm like, there's this one store I thought would do well with the line. And so he went in and he opened up a partnership.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
So you just went in.
He did. He went in.
Your
Yeah,
son
he
did.
sauntered in. Yeah, and was like, "My mom was right. This is a nice store." And And I was like, oh my God.
And then he closed the deal?
Yeah, and then they called me and they're like, Heather, your son's so funny. Da, da, da. Yeah, so it's, you know, we all work together. We all know that all of our initiatives help for the greater cause, which is everyone just moving forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
that's so fun.
if we can all help each other.
Oh my God,
it
that's
works
the
out.
best.
Yeah.
Do they wear pieces specifically
Yeah,
by you?
they all do, actually.
Like what are the boys?
So let's see. Oliver is my he's my 16-year-old, and so he has on a size 3 ID tag, which is, you know, like a little bit the height of a, I don't know, like a silver dollar. And it says Bliss on it, and it's in the handwriting of the woman that owned the 1966 Mustang that he got last year.
Oh.
And she called the Mustang Bliss. And so in
love
her
that.
handwriting, he wears a tag that says
Okay,
Bliss.
and he's got that cool car.
Yeah, he's got a 1966 Mustang. And then Henry has a bracelet that says Mr. Henry on the inside, because since he was little, like from the first doctor that ever met him, people call him Mr. Henry. And I have no idea why. So they'll say, oh, hello, Mr. Henry. And it happens throughout his life in different areas. And so he has his birth year and then Mr. Henry on the inside. And then Leo has something similar. It's like this wide, though.
Yeah.
And it has his birth date on it because it's shorter. It's like 11 to 2000, which is MM.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's also an illustrator, so he did DNA illustrations on both sides.
Oh.
And then he's got his initials on the inside. And then Coral's first song that she launched on SoundCloud when she was 13, her logo is on a bracelet.
She's a singer.
She is a singer.
Wow, these kids are so talented.
Yeah, I mean, she was into it, now she's not into it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you ebb and flow.
It's so great that they've seen you create all this and try and live in the balance of how to do all of it.
Yeah.
What do you have anything you do to unwind?
I do ceramics.
Do you have like a studio at home?
I wish, no, but night classes are really great at the Cleveland Institute of Art.
Really?
Yeah, they're really good.
Is it so like calming and therapeutic?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, so I do night classes, and I was doing a bunch of ceramics, and other unwinding, photography. So
the art never stops.
yeah.
Like that's your soul.
Yeah, I mean, this bracelet here, this one says, when you view life through the right lens, everything comes into focus.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And you gotta change your lens a lot.
You do. You do.
Because, you know, people can look at it in such a bad way, and I always say you gotta change the lens right now. In class, I remind people, how are you looking at your life?
Right.
You know? It's such different perspective. Like, you know what you've been through and what it's taken, and people probably who don't know you don't have no idea of all this. That's why I like to hear the nitty gritty and the grind.
Yeah.
Because everyone has had a grind.
Right.
Most people don't know about that. And so in today's culture especially, it's now.
Right.
I want to be famous. I want everything to happen now.
Right.
And you've gone on this long path.
Right.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Where do you have an idea of like what is next? Or are you just kind of like, we'll see?
No, I have no idea. I think, getting back into glass is something that I have been dabbling in and kind of flirting with. It's definitely I love the medium. I love the principle of the medium.
Where's the most beautiful glass?
Where?
Yeah.
I would say in Cleveland.
I love it. I love it. I thought you were going to say Venice.
No. I mean, I have some Mark Petrovic and Kari Russell Poole. There's some incredible talent here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Of the glass blowing.
So I've been to the glass blower on 25th.
On 25th.
The Glass Bubble Project, I think it's called.
Okay.
And he's a glass blower. You know, he just like opens the garage door and everyone's blowing glass in there.
Yeah.
You would love it.
Yeah. I love, and I think there's just something really special about blowing glass and working with a team and, being part of that community. But like when I think about what I'm going to do next, I do also love collecting art. I think in marketing, when I think about what I do, I document people's stories, and that's what I do with photography. And I don't know, when people are doing their artwork and just like looking at the way they do it, I don't know, I feel like I'm definitely a collector at the same time. So I love looking at really talented, well-made pieces of art across the board.
Do you have a piece or something about which you're the most proud? Like something that you're like, whoa, this was...
I mean, it would be crazy. I couldn't not say my kids. I mean, like, those guys blow me away all the time, right? So and I can't even believe that I was part of that creation.
That's so true.
Right? Like, when you
I
start looking
agree.
at what they're capable of and stuff like that, and you're like, God, am I...
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have have you ever had like kind of a pinch yourself moment, like in selling to someone in particular or anything? You're like, I can't believe I'm talking to this person right now. Whether it be your own idol or like personality, or you're like, I can't believe I'm dealing with, I don't know, some great artist or...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I've
Or have you ever made something for someone that was like, super famous?
Yeah, I definitely have done that for a lot of very incredible people, but everyone's story is just as important as everyone else's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I'm super proud to say J.K. Rowling, like, she's a great customer of ours. Like writers, like people that are thinking about, all of the, what are their actions, even in words,
Yeah.
and how is that message gonna, kind of parlay who they are forever. And
How do you think she found you?
I don't know. I think our work is in the writing community, very much so. So I can't remember who.
That's fun though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, someone who's also very talented in their realm.
Yeah. But man, I mean, I definitely think it's so interesting to see all the people that, I mean, I just came back from going to all these different stores and meeting all these people, and every single person has their own unique group of pieces on, and they're all beautiful, and every person is so different. So I feel like we're really able to tap into something, you know what I mean?
Totally.
I feel like it's something very special.
It is.
So, and I'm just proud to be part of it. So.
I always ask people about their music, and I'm sure your kids surround you with different realms of music. Do you have a favorite?
Favorite music right now?
Music or who's your person?
I love every type of music, and I think I was astounded to watch my kids grow up with phones and having such music at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
They became so knowledgeable of every genre of music before they were 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, we had Bob Dylan, and we had like 30 records.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm serious, swear to God, I'm dating myself big time. But
yeah.
I mean, who do I like right now? My kids make my playlists.
Yeah.
So I like everything. You know, like I'll always go to Dire Straits and Cat Stevens when cooking.
That's yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Bob
Do you
Dylan.
remember the last concert you were at?
The last concert I was at, it was probably like a Pink Floyd, you know.
Come on.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. But no, I mean, like a real concert that I went to was Bob Dylan.
I never saw him.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Do you love him?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the Highwaymen were my favorite. Chris Christopherson, like I'm so dating myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, like all those guys.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I love it. So if you go out now for fun, is it usually, well, do you ever get to go out for fun? I mean, you're constantly on the go.
Well, I think, we go sailing or we go boating and
in the summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
biking.
we boat too. I love the water.
Yeah.
Isn't it great to have it here?
Oh,
and it's going to get warm and sunny real soon.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be on the boats.
Yeah, I mean, we have Wendy Park downtown. We've got all the...
Wendy Park, yes, tell us about that.
Yeah, Wendy Park's amazing. I mean, it's part of the Metro Parks now.
They've done a great job.
They're doing
Wendy
a great
Park
job.
is part of your family.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that story?
Yeah, that was just, I mean, in the 80s, Conrail, I think the city was taking it over with eminent domain to make something, I don't know, not beautiful.
Yeah.
And so Dan took it over.
Dan
from
being
my dad,
mm-hmm.
From Conrail with for a 100-year lease for $1, and he cleaned it up. He was his hard work, like his own dollars, trudging that area and then designing a marina and creating a restaurant and everything. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's named after my sister who passed away. So
what a tribute.
Yeah, it's good.
Just for the soul of Cleveland, just
Mm-hmm.
to make it better. So that's your family. It's an incredible legacy.
Yeah, we love it. And I think, Cleveland, everyone needs to, there's just so much to be proud of. Cleveland is a beautiful town, so.
Yeah. And these creations are really even more beautiful.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for sharing your story. It is gold. and Heather Moore is a star, and she's totally downgrading her whole presence in the jewelry world. It's pretty huge. And in order to find that, go check out the website, heatherbmore.com, and then look up her Instagram. She has two.
Right. It's just Heather B. Moore, and then the Instagram for jewelry is Heather_B.
Is your middle name B?
Yeah, Butler.
Because it's so cool, Heather B. Moore.
Yeah.
And just.
I know, right?
I
love
that. I love that. Sometimes I hear names and I'm like, wow.
I know.
I want that name. Heather B. Moore. So it's also really easy for you to remember, and go look up the incredible artwork that is there and continue to follow Heather on her amazing journey. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.